Around 2012, we had a company-wide meeting and we had to sit everybody down and say, I know we just went through one of the toughest 3 years of our life. Now it's going to get a little tougher. Sometimes these issues come up and someone says, well, I can't afford to run a guy out there by himself. Well, whose fault is it? If it's my fault, I can afford because my reputation, it's not the dollars that I'm trading, it's my reputation. And I can't afford my reputation to be bad.
Yeah.
That's priceless. We told our drivers the customer is number 2 in our organization because safety is number 1. We've told our drivers, we pay you by the hour, slow down, make more money. Why rush? How do you feel comfortable putting a driver in an 80,000 pound truck that's 75, 80 feet long on the same highway that your family and other friends of your families are in vans going to school, going to work? How do you rectify that? Hi, this is Ken Reynolds. I'm CEO and founder of Accurate Cargo Delivery Systems in Phoenix, and you're watching the Last to First podcast.
If you're looking to elevate your last mile game, let me tell you why the CLDA Final Mile Forum is the place for you to be. We have shipper panels where you can sit down with shippers and understand their best practices and what it takes to be successful in winning their business. You have carrier roundtables. Learn from the best in the business. Peer-to-peer learning is one of the best ways you can learn about the do's and the don'ts and the how-tos to get your game to the next level. And last but not least, you've got networking opportunities. Every single night of the conference, you're gonna be able to talk to some of the leaders in the industry, find out what's working for them in their business, what's not working, and how you and your team can get to that next level. I'll see you in Austin, Texas, the CLDA Final Mile Forum, February 18th through the 20th. Be there or be square. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Last to First family, welcome back to our next episode of the Last to First podcast. I'm Jason Burns, your host, and I'm excited to have you today. We're going to expand the conversation, expand the ecosystem a little bit. I know it's called Last to First, but it's the in-between piece that I want you to pay attention to in this episode. So joining me today is the founder and CEO of Accurate Cargo Delivery. I'm joined with Ken Reynolds. Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, great. I'm glad to be.
Yeah. Short notice. I called you in. You
Yes.
came in, kind of got the guy off the bullpen. I appreciate that.
Oh, no. My pleasure.
Yeah. So I was introduced to you by a fellow board member in the CLDA. I said, look, I'm going to be in the Phoenix area. I want to talk to someone. Maybe somebody can help me expand the conversation to more trucking outside of kind of what we traditionally talk about in the podcast. And he said, you got to talk to Ken. So I'm excited to have this conversation today.
I am too. Yes.
So the first thing I want to do is just talk about Accurate Cargo, kind of what you guys do, kind of the 5 who, what, when, where, how, and why.
Accurate Cargo does a lot of things. We started out originally 33 years ago in my late 20s as an air freight cartage company. So we were picking up air freight and or delivering it to and from the airport. But as we did that, we had more clients coming to us to do deliveries within Arizona, within Phoenix. We started to expand. We started delivering in the rural marketplace. Now we deliver every zip code in Arizona. Wow. And as a result, we started working with other major LTL trucking companies.
Okay.
The Yellow, which isn't around anymore, but the Yellows, the Old Dominions, the ABF Motor Freight, of going to the places that they generally can't go to. When they have one shipment going 150 miles north, they can't go there every day. They can't even go there once. They don't have enough revenue to bring a truck up there. So we're able to have that business, and we have 15, 20 clients that have things going to Flagstaff and Show Low and some of the other towns in rural Arizona. So we're able to build routes every day going there, along with our customers, their customers, and freight coming in from across the country.
Yeah. How many vehicles, drivers in the network today?
Well, the combination of straight trucks, the 26-foot box trucks, and semis with 48 or 53-foot trailers and liftgates on all of those vehicles, we've got about 95.
95, wow, okay. That's a nice sizable network there.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you primarily service the Arizona marketplace?
Arizona's offices in southern Nevada, so we handle Nevada and parts of southern Utah and northern Arizona above the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Sure. And then we have partnerships with our carriers, and freight comes in from all over the country. California, Washington, Oregon, Chicago, everywhere, the East Coast. And we're doing that, what you would call the final mile delivery, or to the consignee from the freight that arrives at our dock.
Got it. So off camera, we're talking about, you asked me, said, is this really last mile, final mile? How do I define it?
Sure.
And the interesting thing about that question is when you ask 100 people, what does final mile, last mile mean? You might get 101 different answers, right? Because it kind of means, it's very, in my experience, it's very niche. It can mean many things to many different people. And it's certainly evolved over the last 5-10 years, I would say. When you just mentioned, you kind of introduce yourself as a final mile operator. So just for the audience to understand, freight comes into your network here in the Arizona market in Nevada. And then you are arranging the transportation deliveries down to the end consumer, whether it be a white glove movement. I know you do some hazmat type stuff.
Right.
So I get the scope right.
We're getting it to the final person, the consumer or the distribution center that's going to then resell it. But yes, we're taking it to its very last stop. And it could be to a residence. Obviously, we have a lot of residential deliveries. Or it's going to go to a final user at a business that's going to consume the product. Or a distribution center that's going to use it to then send to their retail locations.
Okay. And your model is all employee-based drivers and the independent contractors?
We have no independent contractors. We do have other trucking companies that we partner with that do deliveries or pickups or other relationships. But yes, we are W-2 employee-based company.
Okay. And from a customer vertical standpoint, like what would you say the primary industries that rely upon your services?
Ours is very vast. We've been very particular in how and what to do with our clients. We have clients in HVAC, in beauty products, in transportation, in construction supplies, grocery. Obviously, we have some hazmat as well, pool chemicals going to pool stores. So we've got a pretty diverse group of clients. And the general freight that comes in, the pool freight that we were talking about that comes in from across the country, can be anything. We deliver jet skis or we deliver widgets. You know, we hate the term widgets, but we don't even know what some of the things that we deliver. They're just in a box and they're stacked on a pallet and we're delivering it.
Drop-off brings peace of mind, convenience, and professionalism to every delivery. We're helping healthcare, retail, and industrial businesses offer a better delivery experience. You can place a delivery online from your computer or phone any time of the day with upfront pricing and to-the-minute arrival times. Real-time tracking allows you to monitor your delivery on a live map throughout the entire process. You'll get automatic confirmations when your order is picked up and delivered. Our couriers are vetted, uniformed, and only drive in marked vehicles, guaranteeing a professional experience every time. You can rest easy knowing that we will represent your brand exactly the way you need us to. We're committed to providing exceptional customer service. That's why our delivery experts are available 24/7 to ensure your business goes uninterrupted. This is same-day delivery made simple. Talk to a same-day delivery expert on dropoff.com or call us today.
Yeah. So I want to go a little deeper on this because I think obviously most of the work you're doing is conjunctive, I would say, right? So are you doing any dedicated lanes? Like you have one customer that's occupying the whole truck going to a certain destination, or is it all kind of commingled together?
Well, that's the other side of our business. We provide dedicated services where we work with customers that don't want to manage trucks or drivers or the liability of trucks and drivers on the road. Yeah. So we actually give them trucks, drivers. The trucks are liveried in the client's logo. The driver's wearing the customer's logoed shirt, and we're providing, turnkey solutions for that client.
Okay, so that kind of fleet replacement almost.
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other side of the business is more commingled, mixed freight.
Commingled freight. So yeah, there's going to be 15 to 20 different customers' freight on each delivery route.
Yeah.
And that route is really geographical.
Okay.
So whatever's going to East Mesa or West Phoenix or Scottsdale, that depends on the route, not what the freight is. So we're not doing any specific routed things where we're going to A, B, and C every day.
Yeah. So price, I'm gonna bring price into this a little bit because in my career, when I first got into our business, my family owned a business back in the mid '80s, and I kind of got into it after college. And it was pretty much all dedicated. Everything was kind of a dedicated route. And then I started learning that, there's this thing called commingling where you can kind of commingle different customers and you can try to get some synergies of costs and hopefully relay pass along those savings back to the customer to make them more sticky. where I find people run into the problem is like when you're first starting that off, when you're trying to build that route, that geographical based route, is you're kind of going to have like a main, I call it a hook, right? You got to have a main customer is going to kind of take you from A to B. When you're establishing that, how do you look at really after you kind of got the main hook in place, when you're pricing freight out? Is it all zone-based pricing, or are you actually trying to, how do you go about getting that synergy and passing the savings back on to the customer?
Well, that's interesting because we stopped looking at it as a fixed model. Like a lot of transportation companies traditionally, obviously pre-deregulation, their model was their model. That was their pricing. They didn't create a pricing specific to a customer. It was based on you pay X or you pay a discount of X. We're finding out what the customer actually needs. Do they need a different type of pricing? So many of our customers, we do it based on weight and distance. Some of them we do it on a pallet because they're sending uniform items on a pallet. So if they're shipping, let's say we have a client that does bottled water. One pallet of bottled water is exactly the same as the second pallet. So we've simplified the process for them so it's easy for them to quote their customer the shipping charges when they have a shipment.
Yes.
We want to make that easy for our client.
Yes.
But when it comes to, you said a hook or a primary account, we had one that started us in the rural area. We were moving dialysis solution out to dialysis centers throughout Arizona. And as a result, the trucks weren't full. And actually, the trucks were going to 2 or 3 or 4 different markets. So as you go, if you know Phoenix or Arizona, as you go north on the I-17, the first stop is Prescott, then Sedona, then Flagstaff. As we built that out and we had more customers, more Arizona customers or more customers coming from across the country to have us do that last step of the delivery, we then built those markets to where now 1 truck goes to Prescott or 2, and 1 goes to Sedona, and 1 or 2 go to Flagstaff. Okay. And we were able to break that down and get the volume up to make it profitable. But as starting, I'd have to say you have 1 delivery in Prescott, you have 1 in Sedona, you can't send a truck. You've got to run that guy for a lot of miles. And as your density increases, then you put on more equipment to hit those markets or reduce even in Metro Phoenix, as you build density, those routes get shorter because you're not running all the way across town. You're running within a defined geographical area. And it gets smaller and smaller as you add more routes, but you have to have more customers.
How'd you go about building the density? Because I think that's, there in this business, there's a network effect, right? Once you start building your network, it seems like the customers hear about it through the grapevine and they just start calling you. But in the early stages, you got to go out there and kind of hunt, I would suspect.
Well, sales is obviously the biggest point. And we were out there hustling and meeting customers and finding people that had a need. And as a beginning company, I have to say we gave discounts. We did what we could to get the business. Obviously, we're always looking for people that have service issues, so we could rectify that and give them the service that they're lacking. Those customers obviously value our services the most.
Got it. All right, so take me back a little bit. I appreciate you giving me some answers on accurate. But I want to learn more about you and kind of how you even got into transportation. What was your kind of your origin story? Would you work in transportation before you founded your business, or?
No, I out of school, I went to work in commercial real estate.
Okay.
I was selling and leasing industrial buildings here in the Phoenix market.
All right. And
I sold a building to 2 gentlemen that owned an air freight company, and they were moving a lot of air freight in and out of town. And they suggested that maybe I should invest with them, and we buy a truck or 2 so they don't have to outsource that. They can keep that in-house in a small company and have more control over it. So I said yes, and we put on 2-3 trucks. And then the real estate market went into a deep recession in the late 80s, and I had no income coming in. And I suggested maybe I should come over there and operate and sell. And that's what I did. So I came over there. I operated the business for about 3 years.
Okay.
And my partners had a different vision. I wanted to grow in a different way, and they wanted to take it more into their air freight world. I wanted to branch out and get more of this last mile, as you call it, pool distribution. So we separated, and I started my company literally with an American Express card and one of those big, fat cellular phones that they had.
Motorola's
The big Motorola.
with the antenna.
That's right.
And my dad had one of those
Yeah.
too.
So-
You had the one that you put in the car.
I had that too.
You had that one too?
I had that one too. And the Suburban and that we rented from Ryder
Okay.
and used the American Express card for cash flow float. And we started. And fortunately, one of my accounts called me up. I had no company, zero.
Yeah.
I had left the week before Thanksgiving of 1992, the Friday before we separated. I get a call the following week, and it's the vice president of transportation at PetSmart when they were very small back then. But he said, I need an address. I said, what do you mean? He said, I know you. I work with you. I have 4 truckloads of dog food. I need an address.
Now, did he know that you had left?
No, he knows that I left. He
left.
was like, I need an address to send it to you.
Yeah, I know, but did he know you had left the company?
Yes.
Okay. all
That's when he found out I'd left, he called me and said, I need an address.
right. And what'd you do?
I'm like, I don't have a company yet. He said, that's your problem. Send me an address.
Yeah.
I called a friend of mine who has a warehouse. I said, hey, can we use your warehouse the dog food comes in bulk.
Yeah.
We have to pick it for each store order. So that was the process. So it comes in bulk, we pick it for each store, we repalletize it and shrink wrap it, and then deliver it to each PetSmart store on schedule. So called up a former employee who did not want to work for the new management. He quit the next day. And I said, we need to unload and do something. I'm out of town. I'm in California right now.
Oh my God.
And I'm with family and friends at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I'll get my friend Howard. And Johnny and Howard picked and ordered that. And I said, I'll be back on Monday for us to deliver it. So got a Ryder truck, borrowed my friend's truck, got in the semi, and started making deliveries.
So this is why I love asking this question, because you just never know the nuggets that come out of these stories. I've heard similar stories, even in my own case. My parents started our business, so it was a little different. But when I came in, we were not doing anything cross-docking warehouse related. I had a customer call, similar, and I had been saying we want to do more of this work. We had an office, regular office, just like we're in now today. And they wanted to send a truckload of TVs.
Okay.
And they said, where's your address? So I called another customer, it was a signage company, and said, hey, can we use your, I knew they had like a 1,500 square foot like storage room, basically. So they said, yeah. And the truck was like literally going to be there the next day. The part I missed was it was not dock high.
Okay.
And it was like a block from the Superdome in New Orleans. So you can imagine this big 18-wheeler trying to block up Porter Street, which is the main corridor, backing into this non-dock high facility. We made it happen, but it was ugly. It was
Right.
ugly. But it's the ingenuity, right? It's you got to figure it out on the fly, and you did. And here we are. How many years later now?
33.
33 years later. So I love that.
It was an opportunity. You can't turn down opportunities.
Yeah.
I had a customer coming to me. He had a need. He wanted to work with me. I built a relationship that obviously transcended my former company, and they wanted to work with me.
Yeah.
And we made it work.
So from that first conversation with this guy at PetSmart, you then kind of saw I can build upon this from there and keep going.
I had another account that I had a good relationship with, an air freight forwarder that decided to do business with me. And they gave me one shipment that weighed 2 pounds just to make sure that I could do it. And I drove out there in my Suburban myself. My Suburban was a delivery vehicle, or I jumped into a semi-truck. I was fortunate I had my CDL then, which I still have.
Oh.
And occasionally, very rarely, but occasionally, I'm asked to
managing
help
the
out.
field day. Yeah.
Help out in a pinch.
Yeah.
So
you got to be able to do it.
but yeah, so it just, and then it's interesting. I was fortunate enough that on my business card, I had my cell phone number. And an account that I had been trying to get into for months called me that week that I started my company. And they said, hey, we need help. And it was a paper supply company for office paper, and they gave us business. And it started.
Yep.
And by happenstance, the ad for Yellow Pages, and I know many people don't remember Yellow Pages, but back in our day, that was the way you advertised your business.
Oh, yeah.
The Yellow Page ad closed on December 8th of every year, and they print the book, and it comes out in February. I was able to get my ad in I wouldn't have been, if our meeting took place 2 weeks later, I never would have been able to. But in the 2 weeks I had to make those decisions, I came out with a corporate name, I got an ad in, and it showed up. And in February, the phone rang, and it was the first trucking company I dealt with. Wow. And they said they even have extra space if I want to park my trucks here and work out of their office. And I've been in that same building for 33 years now. Now I have 3 buildings now. I started in 5,000 feet, and now we're in 72,000 feet. Okay. And we have 110 doors, but we started out with 2 doors. Wow. And it was the luck of being there. And I asked him, I said, you were calling other people, I assume. He said, yeah, they were saying that they'll have someone call me back. You were the first person to answer the phone, give me the answers, and set a meeting and show up.
Yeah. I think it's an important point, because I still do the same thing today. My dad founded our business. My dad taught me he taught me a lot of things, but a couple of things when it comes to relationships is always go direct and be responsive.
Sure.
I was at a networking event last week and meeting someone, and they watched the podcast. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. We watched your podcast, et cetera. We want to connect with you. I said, oh, here's my cell number. They're like, you're going to give me your cell number? I'm like, yeah, you want to talk? Text me, call me. Not late at night, but
of course.
But it's and they were just kind of amazed that I was willing to give them my cell phone. I'm like, well, that's how I've always done business. Like I want you to have that personal relationship, that connection, because especially in today's world where we'll talk more about technology and AI in a second here, but like everything's going so automated, that personal touch,
absolutely,
that guy picking the phone up and you responding, and even though you had no way, figuring out how, you didn't know what you're going to do, but you knew you're going to solve this problem for that guy. Right. That led to all these other, customers for you and
absolutely,
and success. Yeah. If you're tired of chasing drivers for proof of deliveries, scanning paperwork at midnight, or dealing with "I never got my package" claims, Different was built to fix that. Digital signatures and photos captured instantly on any device. POD goes straight to your customer once your driver hits complete. No more phone calls, no more scanning, no more dealing with claims 6 months down the road because you couldn't find paperwork. Different was built by operators who ran a courier business for 35 years. They've lived your problems, so they built real solutions. Check out deliverdifferent.com/last to first. I love that.
And, to go a step further, I put my phone number out on bad Google reviews because oftentimes I'm getting freight from all across the country. And unfortunately, sometimes it does come in damaged. We mark it damaged when it came in. We'd let the customer know it was damaged, but they still want us to deliver it to Mr. and Mrs. Smith's door. Well, they're not happy because we're the last person. So all they recognize is, you brought this to me, it's damaged, we don't like you. Yeah. And there are times where we make the mistake. Sure. We had a shipment that came in many years ago, but I think it was about 10 years ago this week. We had a fishing kayak that came in from a carrier. We had the wrong telephone number. We were calling, leaving a message. July 3rd at 6:30 at night, we got a Google review, and the guy said, we obviously weren't paying attention, weren't doing what we were supposed to do. Right. Well, obviously we're calling the wrong number. We were never going to get a hold of him, and we were calling the client trying to get the number, but no one was responding. And those certainly happen from time to time. But I got it. I called him. I found out who he was. I called him, and he said that he ordered it, and he's going on July 4th to go fishing with all his other buddies. Yeah. I asked where he was. He said he was in a town called Payson, which is about 90 miles northeast of Phoenix. We put a warehouse driver in a truck, took the kayak and got it to him to his door at 10:30 at night that night. Wow. Because it was the right thing to do. Yeah. It was partially our mistake. It was partially the other customs, but our name was on the door and we could do it. Yeah. And what did it cost us? Sometimes these issues come up and someone says, well, I can't afford to run a guy out there by himself. Well, whose fault is it? If it's my fault, I can afford, because my reputation, it's not the dollars that I'm trading, it's my reputation. And I can't afford my reputation to be bad. Yeah. That's priceless. That's priceless. So you can go run a guy out there, and it doesn't matter what it costs. Yeah.
No, tremendous value in that. And I think we've gotten away from some of that industry over years.
Well, I think it comes to taking responsibility and making things right. So oftentimes customers call, we're doing 700 deliveries a day. They're certainly going to have an issue. But I tell all my team, it's how we react on a problem. When everything's running smooth, there's nothing to think about. How do you handle the problem? How do you handle the exception is what makes the mark of a really good company. You can't push it off to tomorrow. And as a result, we went out after that event, we bought a 4x4 long bed with a liftgate pickup truck. That is our hotshot truck, because invariably, if we miss a pallet,
Pickup truck with a liftgate?
It's a pickup truck with a liftgate.
I've never seen that before.
No, but now you can put a pallet on it and you can run it down the liftgate, or we can run it anywhere in Arizona. In some places, you might have to be in 4-wheel drive. But now we've got 1 or 2 of those now that we can go and make that exception and fix the problem. And I guess the point is, we're anticipating let's not pretend that we're going to be perfect. Let's acknowledge the fact that we aren't always going to meet our customers' expectations.
You know why it's important to me? Because I appreciate that most, because I think people just want you to be honest, be authentic. I think if you're communicating properly, even in the midst of an issue, like you said, if they see you willing to, resolve it, go above and beyond and resolve it, you may make that client that goes from you're thinking I may lose this business to they may be your best client for life because of how you handle that adversity.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Amazon has the expectation has been increased.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Amazon effect certainly is among us, but it's one of the greatest things because now it has compelled us to be better every day, to communicate. In the old days, you got your freight when you got your freight. Now you know when you're going to get it within 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and of late, and not to be critical, but of late, sometimes my 2-day UPS doesn't show up, but they tell me it's not going to show up. Sometimes that 4 to 8 in the morning. Last week, my wife had a book that was supposed to show up at 4 to 8 on Saturday morning, and it got bumped to 4 to 8 on Sunday morning. But they let us know.
Yeah.
And I think you hit on it right there. The communication we can give to people in a world where communication is actually more important than getting that freight the day. It's letting me know, letting me be able to set up my day, not leaving me in the dark. I think the worst thing for a customer is to have an at-home delivery between 2 and 4, and at 4:30 they're calling you to say, "Where's your shipment?" and we're fumbling around to find it.
Yeah,
that's bad.
That's bad. Speaking of issues, you mentioned issues. From our world, where I come from, most companies operate with a hybrid model, probably leaning more towards independent contractors versus W-2s. When you get into the W-2 model, you open yourself up for a lot more issues, challenges, particularly on the assets, the vehicles, managing that, insurance. I'm in the insurance space. Insurance is a big challenge. What are the top 2 or 3 things that are like issues today that's on your desk that you or your team are trying to work through and solve?
With our fleet and our drivers?
It could be just with your model. So maybe fleet drivers could be one aspect. Maybe it's something to do with customers. Maybe it's growth mode. Maybe it's managing some regulatory issues. I'm just trying to get a sense of what's kind of the hot button issues on your dashboard that you focus on.
I don't know if I'd call it a hot button, but one of the things that we recognized about 10 or 12 years ago was how the incoming drivers, the younger drivers that come from a different era, how to help our managers interface with them.
Let's check out from one of our partners what's on the radar for 2026. What's up, David? How you doing?
Good to see you, Jason. Happy New Year.
Happy 2026. What's the one thing you're kind of most excited about from a feature standpoint coming up on the roadmap for 26?
We've launched sort of a fully embedded learning management system where contractors that are onboarded can get HIPAA certified, bloodborne pathogen, hazmat, radioactive, bar 3, and that library continues to grow. We are the best option if you're a life science and pharmaceutical delivery company.
What's the one thing you hear from your customers and why they choose ICSAFE?
We've built this by listening to customers, and we help our customers run their 1099 operations just smarter, better, and faster than anyone else. We combine industry-leading speed but also with uncompromising quality.
What you're most excited about achieving in the upcoming year?
We have a number of new exciting features coming out in 2026. I'm deep in the process of acquiring a company right now that specializes in savings and tax filing for 1099 contractors. We're not resting on our laurels. There's going to be a lot more to come in 2026. That's just one of the few things coming.
To understand how to find the right way to communicate and get in touch with drivers. As you know, we talked on it beforehand about boss and leader. In the old days, it was about production. You produce or you're not a good employee. But how do you get people that aren't motivated by being talked down to or disrespected or talk like a product instead of a person? So we've spent a lot of time encouraging and training and helping our managers understand that instead of saying, why did you come back with 2 shipments?
Yeah.
Maybe the approach is, how can I help you be more productive? What can I do? Really trying to embrace them, empower them, and help them understand how to really mentor them.
Yeah.
You know, we use the term manager. We're eliminating the term manager in our organization because we don't want them managed. We want them mentored.
Wow. That's powerful.
They need to learn. They need to feel part of the team. But we don't tell them what to do. Maybe that's how you program a robot. That's not how you deal with people.
Yeah. As you were talking, you mentioned the word, I was thinking about robots and AI and technology. On my way in today, I'm land at the airport, and I see literally 7 Waymos pull in at the airport in maybe a minute.
Right.
And I live in Austin, Texas, so I've seen Waymos, mostly downtown. They're kind of restricted there, but I was like, man, this thing is here.
Right.
And I got into the lift. I got a Lyft driver, and the first question I asked this lady on camera, maybe it'll come out by now when this comes out, but I asked her, "How do you feel about your competition?" And I just pointed at the Waymo, and she says, "They way more expensive. They way more this. They way more that." She was kind of making fun of it, like it's not as good. But the point she at the end of it, she said, we talked maybe 10 minutes riding over here, and she said, "You would have never had this conversation had you been in a Waymo." And that's
Interesting.
That's still to something because there's a human aspect of that. Now sometimes you get in these ride share and you don't want to talk to anybody, but the human aspect of what we do. That's part of what I'm doing with this podcast, try to humanize the last mile, the first mile, the middle mile, whatever you want to call it, because it's so critically important to our economy, but also just people. The people part of this is what you're hitting on right now. Like, you cannot program a person; you have to develop them.
Well, I think the important thing is, I think sometimes some companies get caught up in what the asset is. A lot of people think that assets are the tangible things, the buildings, the trucks. The most important asset in our company are the people. That's the asset. You can replace trucks. Trucks are inanimate objects. Assets are the people, and you have to do preventative maintenance. You have to be proactive. You have to help nurture, and that's the way you keep people on the road and happy and engaged and feeling like they have a purpose.
Yeah. Go back to 2009. I know we did talk offline, and there was a challenging year for you there with the economy, right? I was
Very
going to frame it
challenging.
up, but go for it. Like, I want to understand how you overcame that dynamic.
2009 was the biggest freight downturn in our history, and as a result, we lost 40 to 45% of our revenue. Wow. And in a company where you make 5 to 8%, we're going to go under. We buckled down. We were fortunate enough that I was talking to my mentor in the business, and he was ready to retire. So we absorbed his business. 30 days later, we absorbed another trucking company, which made us 6x of what we were 31 days earlier.
When you say absorb, you buy them?
They were closing down. They had
They moved the customers to you?
we just moved the customers. They just did a sort of soft closing.
Okay.
And so we doubled our business with the first acquisition, and then a month later we doubled it again. So maybe that's 4x.
Yeah.
And as a result, we we had to get down in the thick of it. I'm dispatching, I'm doing everything I could. I went to my vendors. I said, hey, listen, we're in tough times. Can we extend our terms? We will pay you. But we went out and were proactive. We weren't letting a bill sit and waiting for someone to call us. We were calling and saying, our landlord at the time said, hey, you can go 2 months. And we had the opportunity because we were communicating, because we had relationships. And fortunately, we'd already been in business for almost 10 years. So we had relationships. We were on time. We were doing what we did. But it was certainly scary, but it was a time to just dig in and do the work.
Yeah, yeah.
Believe it or not, we didn't lay anyone off. People left. People went to other places, but we were growing almost instantly. It wasn't easy putting all the parts together and working with people with different philosophies, but I met every single driver. I gave every single driver my cell phone number. I let everyone know that if an issue comes up, to contact me. And then the market started changing. Things got better. Around 2012, we had a company-wide meeting, and we had to sit everybody down and say, I know we just went through one of the toughest 3 years of our life. Now it's going to get a little tougher.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking at me saying, why is it going to get tougher? I said, because now let's think about our customer. We've had our customer base that hasn't had a new client in 3 years. So now we're going to be going out and picking up the first shipment that customer has. We've got to make sure we do it right. We've got to pay so much more attention now to getting it right, because now they've got a brand new customer and we've got to get it to them on time, undamaged. So we've got to really concentrate on stepping it up even more. We survived for 3-4 years. Now we have to thrive. And the only way to thrive is to take care of that brand new account that all of our customers are now experiencing for the first time, now that the economy's picked up.
A couple of things there. So you mentioned you did this in like 31-day period. These new customers kind of came in.
Well, we took over 38 drivers on the first day, and then we took over another 40 drivers on the 31st day. And
how'd that impact the culture?
It certainly, we had 25 or 30 drivers ourselves.
Yeah.
The culture, it was challenging. We spent a lot of time getting to know all of our employees. We actually, right about that time, we stopped having company-wide meetings. We had a few, but then we realized we wanted to get down more personal. So we had meetings. Our key management people were having meetings with 4 or 5 drivers at the same time. Okay. So we felt that was an environment where they felt more comfortable speaking up. A lot of times in these big meetings, when you got 50 or 60 people or 70 people, you don't want to be the one guy raising your hand. So we thought, let's bring it down to a more personal level and get people to really discuss their issues or ideas, if they have ideas.
Yeah.
So we started implementing that, and we really felt like we were getting a connection. And then we made the next major step in our organization, and we decided to make it clear to our drivers who their boss was. And what we did is we took the dispatcher and changed his role. The dispatcher and the driver report to the terminal manager. We wanted to empower the driver and let him know that the dispatcher gives you work assignments, but his main job is to treat you as a professional and be professional to you. Because we've heard on exit interviews, we've heard stories about a driver that we hired that came from somewhere else where the dispatcher was this and the dispatcher was that, didn't treat them very professionally. Yeah. And a lot of reasons drivers leave their existing organization is the lack of respect and the lack of treatment, a good treatment that they get from the dispatcher. So we wanted to change the paradigm and really say that this person gives you your work assignments, but his job is to treat you professionally. And your job is to be a professional on the road. And, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We told our drivers the customer is number 2 in our organization because safety is number 1. We're a company that it's okay to be late somewhere if safety is ever a question. If you have a flat tire, we'll call the customer and let them know you'll be late. They might be upset, but a lot less upset if we get in an accident and damage their product or hurt the motoring public. So we really want drivers to understand that we are not pushing them. And we've told our drivers, we pay you by the hour, slow down, make more money.
Yeah.
Why rush?
You know, you hear that, and I'm in risk management now, and I have a much greater appreciation for it, especially the preventing things now that I'm on this side than when I was actually operating. I wish I did have the appreciation. I should have. The thing I hear back, the pushback sometimes is, yes, we want to be safe, but then you bring into some things you said earlier about the margin in this industry, but there's not a lot of meat on the bone, and so companies sometimes cut corners, right? They tend to maybe aware, I know I should be investing in this or being more proactive or preventative, but that's not the number one priority. And maybe revenue is, or new customers is. But what have you learned about that? If you don't have those things in the right pecking order, what can that do to the business?
We think about liability on the motoring public. Safety is more important than if safety is an issue, the freight doesn't get delivered. That's an absolute in our organization. Safety, if you don't have a safety mentality, how do you feel comfortable putting a driver in an 80,000 pound truck that's 75, 80 feet long on the same highway that your family and other friends of your families are in vans going to school, going to work? How do you rectify that? Our responsibility day one is to be safe on the roads. That's for our community's sake. And frankly, the driver has to have that instilled in him that safety is important. We terminate drivers if they get pulled over without a safety belt on. And the rationale is, if your life has no value,
you don't care.
How do we put you in there with the motoring public or the freight that's in the back of the truck? You've got to care enough about your life. And speeding, like I said before, we pay you by the hour. Slow down. You'll make more money. There's no reason to rush. You're not getting paid by the mile. You're not getting paid by the delivery. You're getting paid by the hour. Take your time. Do it right. I want them engaging with our clients when they're making delivery. I don't want them to say, here's your freight and go. Be engaging. Do what you need to do. But if we can't make it an honest, safe way, we shouldn't be in that business.
Do you feel like, I'm going to segue a little bit to technology. We talked a little bit about it, and particularly in light of safety, right? Because one of the arguments I think people make about why go to autonomous vehicles, and we talked about the Waymos a little bit earlier. I've seen DHL recently purchased 1,000 robots to load, unload trucks. I've seen some of the autonomous trucks operate, over the road, right? So from one dock to another dock. And they argue that's safer, right? So now you're taking the driver out of it, who may be dealing with personal issues, distractions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the automation is not going to solve all the problems for us. What's your take on that?
Well, in my world, our drivers make deliveries and they come back to the same place every night. So we're in a different world than someone that's an over-the-road truck driver that's gone for 2 weeks at a time. So we certainly see that there are some challenges there, but we really don't see it in our world. Where we see technology is on driver cameras. A lot of drivers have had issues with having an on-road camera and facing them. It's not streaming. It creates a loop for your listeners. It's creating a loop. And if something bad happens, it sends that up to someone to review it. But we're not watching. We don't really watch our drivers, what they're doing moment by moment. It's really by exception. But we did find that in talking to our drivers when we first implemented it, and a lot of it has to do with insurance companies, they want you to have those devices in the vehicles. So when the driver says, hey, I don't want to work for you, our response is, well, if you go somewhere else, they're going to probably within a year or two going to require a camera. But in our world, when is it not our fault? So the only thing that the camera is going to do is exonerate us if it isn't our fault. But not if we don't have the camera, it's our fault.
It's about the fault. It's kind of like already
right. It's already pre-assumed. You're the truck. It's your fault. So it only exonerates you. But frankly, we have found that talking and texting is a big deal in our organization, and we've indicated that that's not permitted. And if you are caught doing it, you can be terminated. If you get a citation, you are terminated in our company. And I'm sorry, I wish it was another way, but it's the inattention on the road, especially in a big vehicle like that. But the camera helps on that. It lets people know when they're doing something, and it's unfortunate. And going back to technology and Waymo, like you said, I think we're coming to a delta. Young people don't seem to want to drive; they want to text. So maybe the Waymos and the self-driving cars are going to reach a delta where the motoring public doesn't really want to concentrate on driving primarily. They want to concentrate on texting and doing things with media. And I think we're going to get to an inflection point where they're going to love having automated cars so they could do the other things they want to do. And I think it will be a much safer road.
Yeah. I think about the productivity. If you got an hour drive to commute to work or wherever you're going, like you can probably get an hour back if you're in an autonomous vehicle where you don't have to worry about focusing on the road. But I also see there's a downside of that too, right?
Sure.
There's a downside of when you take that human aspect out of it. And I don't know, you're right. I think we have to figure out how to coexist with some of these things.
Sure.
For a while, and certain applications lend themselves better.
On the automotive side, I do see young people. When my kids were turning 16, I took them down to the nearest lit intersection, and the first thing we did was watch cars pull by, drive by. I wanted them to understand how many people aren't paying attention to the road. And I'd say 9 out of 10 had a phone up in their hand, or in their hand, or at their hand, or texting. Yeah. And I wanted them to understand the importance of when they're driving on the road, that's their first and only responsibility.
Yes. And
obviously with commercial truck drivers, it's the law, and we need to make sure they're doing that. And we've done other things. For trucking companies, and for trucking companies that want to hear this, we found that when you issue a phone to a driver, which phone is the headset attached to that he drives? More than likely, if you give him a company phone, the headset's attached to the phone that his wife calls him on. So we would rather pay you to use your own phone so there's only one device in the truck and only one device connected to a headset. That way we can keep your attention on the road.
Yeah, smart. Very smart. You're right. I didn't think about that.
Right.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could have all the great phones and all the options, but if the headset isn't connected, then the driver's not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But on AI, and you talked about the customer, where we're seeing AI, where we're about ready to start implementing is AI to assist in the customer service equation.
Okay.
Right now, we get the primary role of our customer service staff is they have to enter in freight bills into our computer system that don't come in electronically. They have to take calls from customers wanting to know the status of their shipments. But we found that they're doing a lot of just their robotic work. I punch this in, I answer this question, I punch this in, I answer this question. We want them to engage with the customer. And the AI that will respond to customers and let them know your shipment is here or it's 5 stops away gives our customer rep more time to engage with the client, to talk to them about what's going on with their freight and really engage with them instead of just being an answer bot where all they do is answer the question, punch in the bill. We want a personal relationship with that account and let them know that we're here to listen to them. We're not trying to just give you the answer and get you off the phone as soon as possible.
Yeah, you're trying to blend that human touch.
That's right.
Use it as a tool.
Correct.
I was talking about, I have 11-year-old boy-girl twins. A month or so ago, they're getting ready to take their state standardized tests, and we were prepping on some math, and they asked me how to do it. I did a problem, and they asked me how to do it, and I really couldn't remember how to do the problem. So I've been hesitant to show them the power of ChatGPT and AI. So I'm kind of on my phone doing these deals here, trying to put the question in. And I was like, it was a moment where I was like, let me teach you guys how to use this as a tool, right? And so I actually taught them how to ask a question, ask it to explain step by step how you get an answer. So you can load that it's a tool. It's not meant to solve all the problems. It's not meant to replace you or your original thought, but it can be very helpful to you. And so I look at AI like we look at most things as a tool to assist us, not to replace us.
And I think you've hit it right on the nail on the head. It is to assist us. I want to give more purpose to our people. And the purpose is that human approach, because there's still going to be a need for it. There's still a desire to communicate with people. Our people are great, and they really love solving problems for customers.
Yeah.
And they got to have the time to do it. And I think AI gives them a little more time so they can engage better, longer with that client and give them what they need. And we're discussing things that we don't even know what we could do, because customer service for so long is just answer. It's the answer person. Question, where is it? Answer, there. Thank you, goodbye. We want that. We want to find out what's next, how to engage next, and what else that person needs.
Yeah.
They might want to ask, well, do you go somewhere else? Or do you do this? Or, hey, do you know that we're servicing Nevada now? We don't have time for those conversations when we're just, an answer service.
Right.
So
It's a great segue into, you're the first guest that has brought me a book on the podcast. This is
good.
So you talk about your next moves. This book is called Your Next 5 Moves. It's by Pat Bet-David. Love Pat. Why'd you bring this book? What does this book mean to you?
Well, he hit on things that I've been working on, not necessarily formulated that way, but the idea of thinking 5 steps ahead.
Okay.
It's really understanding he breaks it down into several steps, but really understanding yourself, who you are, what your goals are, and it gives you sort of an outline, and it goes through many of those steps. But the key is, and he came, not to get too much into his book, but he came as an 8-year-old from Tehran with nothing. He had a 1.8 GPA average and scored like under 800 on his SAT, never went to college, and ended up turning into a fabulous insurance business. And now he's obviously an author and podcaster.
Yep.
But the fact was obviously hard work, but understanding who you are and understanding what your vision is and working at it and making those steps to be successful. And it's interesting. It doesn't come at once. I don't think that Jeff Bezos thought he was going to be the richest man in the world. Or these people start at one step at a time, and you keep staying motivated. But you've got to understand, we're looking ahead 5 to 6 steps in our business because of what's going to happen, what's going on with the market, what's going on with AI, what's going on with drivers. The younger drivers are motivated from not necessarily the money, it's the behavior and how they're treated and how they're respected in the organization. Those are the steps ahead that we have to be looking at to be viable down the road. We want to look at that. So that's why that book has really struck a chord in me, and I enjoy reading it and rereading it and learning. It's one of those books you learn a lot. You learn a lot every time you read it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, I think you'll love it.
I love books like this. I geek out on stuff like this. I tell people, my favorite one is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Yes.
It gave me a lot of good nuggets. Traction by Gino Wickman is another
Oh,
favorite
okay. Yeah.
of mine. And so I've been watching Pat on his podcast lately.
He's amazing.
Yeah, so
Right.
I'm all in.
And
I will say, go ahead.
I think the thing about the book, and I think the most important thing is critical thinking. And you don't want to be the know-it-all, obviously. You want to be the guy that's using critical thinking and even about yourself. Being very self-aware is also looking at yourself, understanding your weaknesses, your challenges, and working on those. Excuse me. But I do, it's enjoyable. You're going to like it.
Yeah, I glanced at that. It was like 5 things in. The first one was like self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
And that's, it's funny, on the flight over this morning, I'm listening to a podcast. It's The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett.
Oh, yeah, I know it.
And he was interviewing Scooter Braun.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that one yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet, no.
Scooter's known for one of the biggest music managers. He managed Justin Bieber, found Justin Bieber. But there's a part of the episode where he gets into, he had it all, but he lost himself. And he starts talking about how he went down this path of trying to rediscover himself and how powerful that was for him and how he's a changed person now. And I think that's it's hard for us to do sometimes because we're head down, blinders on. You're trying to work, and you're trying to provide and do the things you have to do for your family or to achieve success or whatever case may be. And it's easy to kind of lose your way. But I think when you talk about culture, and something I have to learn personally is it starts at the top. I believe that person at the top has to set the culture. It's kind of one of the functions of
Absolutely.
it. And you can't do that right if you're not being authentic. And there's no way to be authentic unless you know yourself.
And frankly, I told you earlier, I was a boss in the ugliest sense of the word. I'm in my late 20s. I don't know how to manage people. I just manage them by force.
Yeah.
And then it took me some time. It took having 2 kids and being married and learning more about how to interact and realizing that I've got to be the leader. So I have to set the example. I've got to be the brand ambassador for my organization. And I've got to teach, not tell.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
That's a nugget. Teach, not tell. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
And really develop people. And now it's that servant leadership. I'm here to give people the tools they need. And we talked about safety before. We buy new equipment. We buy all the we've been ordering all the safety equipment on our trucks. The one automatic emergency braking, lane avoidance, all of the things that are available, we order on our truck. We want to mitigate that and make it safe.
Got it. My last question for you. I ask every guest this question. The podcast is called Last to First. As I mentioned, it's a play up on a few different things. One is talking about the industry going from last to now first in today's supply chain. Also last mile, first mile, everything in between. But that personal aspect, we talked a lot about kind of culture and self-awareness, servant leadership. What's your last to first moment? It's kind of that moment, that pivotal point of your, whether it be personal or professional in your career, where you could have went left, but you went right. Something that was a catalyst for getting you from last to now first today.
When I realized that I shouldn't be the smartest guy in the room, I brought in a great COO to run my company on the day-to-day so I could take a look at the 10 and 20,000 foot view and really focus on the culture and how to operate this business that we're in in a equitable, fair, and sincere way. That was the moment. And it was eye-opening because I brought someone in who didn't start out as a mentor of mine. It was a client of mine. And we went to lunch and we talked about issues and the issues that I was dealing with drivers and customers. And he answered every one of those just like I did. We've been working together for 15 years now. We've only had 2 minor situations where we didn't see exactly the same way, which was amazing.
That's rare.
But I realized that we need someone on board that can allow me to really look at where the vision is, where we're going, how to set up the policies, the procedures. Every driver gets to meet me, and I give every driver my cell phone number because I told them if you're having a problem that you feel like I'm the only one that can resolve it, then call me on the phone. I might have to call you back or you might have to leave a message, but I don't want them to feel pigeonholed. We tell our drivers, the analogy we give them is they are a captain at sea all day. So they are unbound from the office. They need to know that there are people in the office that stand behind them, support them, and they're there for them when they're needed because they're gone all day.
Yeah. Okay, that's phenomenal. I appreciate all the insights, you sharing your experience with us on the podcast. I think I'm gonna call this episode, when I put it out there, the power of releasing your cell number. You talk about just from the early days that phone call you got came to your cell phone, and here you are 33 years later, still every single driver you meet with and give them your cell phone so you can help them navigate, whether it be, in that.
Yeah, can I do it with 10,000 drivers? Probably not. Yeah. But at my size, it makes sense. And the other thing we do is we sit down with each one of our drivers every quarter and have a one-to-one with them. The management team does. Sure. So they have a direct input and a direct relationship and get to voice something one-on-one for us to say, hey, how are you doing? And it's another check to say, how are we doing? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? But what can we do to be better managers, operators? And we love ideas. That's the one thing I'd say that if you've got an idea, I will try it. If it works, we'll keep it. If it doesn't, we might modify it.
Yeah.
But we want people, I want to empower people to use their brain. We're on the road. They're dealing with customers. They're dealing with issues all day long that we know nothing about most of the time. So we really want them to, but you got to allow them to engage their brain.
Yeah.
You have to tell them you got to empower.
Got it.
So
Again, I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing all the nuggets information. And if you're looking for a provider in the Arizona, Nevada area for your final mile deliveries, that's the man here, Ken Reynolds with Accurate Cargo. Ken, thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, check this out. If you're in the last mile delivery industry, we have created something that's just for you. We've called it the last to first huddle, or the L2F huddle. We can come into an ecosystem, a community built for the last mile by the last mile. Now, you'll be able to get access to educational courses, right? Playbooks, as I call them. We build playbooks teaching you everything from A to Z in the last mile industry. Everything from how to set your right driver model, to how to navigate misclassification issues, to how to find customers, how to price that work, how to operate it, all the way through to if you want to buy a company, how do you value those businesses. We also have an AI tool called Ask Miles. Miles will answer any how-to question about the industry. I've personally trained it myself. It's pretty damn good. And then also, we're about community. So you're going to access coaches, experts. We have film studies or weekly calls. You'll be able to deep dive into workshops. Look, this is the place to be if you're in the last mile industry. L2fhuddle.com. I'll see you inside. It's time to huddle up. Let's do it.